This is the Audi A8, which is in direct competition to the Mercedes S-Class. But this car is quite a bit cheaper to buy. If you want to go for this version of it, it starts from €111,000. This is a luxury version of the car. You can still get diesel if you wish, but the price is quite a bit higher. And there's still an S8 on sale in Ireland from just over €200,000. But the thing about this car is, this Daytona Grey Pearl Effect is a bit of a sleeper. And by that I mean you wouldn't necessarily know to look at this that it's got 462 brake horsepower and a V6 under the bonnet. So actually that 0 to 60 time between this and the A8 is actually barely a second. So you'd kind of wonder where you'd be spending the almost extra €100,000. Now, this car is not without its extras. Some of the options include a B&O sound system, a €2,000 panoramic glass roof. It's got an S-Line exterior, upgraded alloys, and €193, which that seems cheap, for 2 USB-C charging ports in the rear of the car. But it's a bit of a beauty in terms of saloons, in my opinion. The front, again, is quite discreet, no S-Line badges. There are some on the side, just a simple Quattro here. One thing I don't understand is the polystyrene that's just behind the grille. Kind of cheapens the car. Surely there's something else that can do what that needs to do. That doesn't look like it's in the middle of a box of something you've ordered on Amazon. Matrix headlights in this car. Again, just little bits of black here, just part of the S-Line styling pack on the exterior and the surround for the grille also. Now this is not the long wheelbase version, it's kind of a limousine version you can get in some regions, but it's still quite a long car with a very low slung roof, but still allows plenty of space even with that glass roof. Petrol is on this side and your charging port is on the left-hand side of the car. It will do 7.4 kilowatt charging. That's the maximum speed. The S-Class, for example, will do 11. However, the range is officially 65 kilometers. I'm seeing maybe 45. The best way I think to use it, because you can use it in pure EV mode if you like, is to just use it in a hybrid mode. So that assists with the petrol engine. The engine will actually shut down at motorway speed sometimes, but then you have that lovely V6 note when you want it. So if you use that in combination, you get about 8 litres per 100 kilometers, which is not bad at all for a car with 462 brake horsepower. The battery is just over 14 kilowatt hours. It'll take you about 2.5 hours to charge that to full on the wall box at home. It's all about discretion on the back of the car as well. There's a shark fin aerial, beautiful red strip for lighting here. But apart from that, there's just, again, little black exterior parts of the optional pack, an A8 badge and a Quattro badge. And that's it. It's all very, very discreet. Electric operating boot. And like many plug-in hybrids, the A8 does not escape from the fact that some of the boot space is lost due to batteries here in the vehicle. So it's actually just under 400 litres, which is not ideal for a saloon car. You will fit golf clubs in there, there's no problem with that, but you do lose a bit of height. And the standard non-hybrid version of the A8 is just about 500 litres, so it's quite a bit of a loss there. You don't necessarily have to bring this big huge bag that takes up space, but that will put your Type 2 charging cable or your granny cable also in. There's a tiny bit of storage, additional storage down underneath the boot, but you won't fit the Type 2 cable into it. So very sleek, very subtle, depending on what colour you go. What do you think of it? I mean, saloons aren't exactly flavour for many, many people these days because it's just too low down. But actually, a bit like a hatchback or just a normal saloon car, when you get into them, the driving dynamics quite a bit better. And despite the size of this thing, it's about 2.3 tonne. That Quattro badge means there's a lot of grip. There is tons and tons of space for your legs and your feet. That seat is at my driving position and it's gigantic proportions back here. You don't have to have this down. It's an armrest, obviously, just standard old-fashioned armrest. But there's the two almost €200 USB charging ports. It's lovely silver leather, that kind of Napa effect going on. You've got your own individual climate controls in the back of the car here for people, and kind of old school, there's a cigarette charger in the back of this, which is obviously never ever been used. And you got your own air vents, and you can store things in the back of the seats. You got high gloss polish on the grab handles. A little bit disappointing that the glass roof doesn't come a bit further back into the car, particularly because it cost €2,000, but loads of space, more air vents here. You're never going to feel claustrophobic in the back of the A8. Tons of head height, like really loads of it, and you can really kind of lie back here and stretch out if you're on a long journey. In fact, I drove this car from Dublin to Navan on some of the motorways, and in comfort mode it just glides along. It's so smooth. Air suspension on this car, and it works very well. Huge solid doors, big thud. Volvic bottle, a large one, won't quite easily fit in. I mean, it is there secured. You've got to use a bit of reasonable force to get it in there. So, strange enough for such a big car, some of the front storage areas are a little bit compromised. Really great quality cameras on board for front and rear visibility. And then, if you're familiar with the channel, if you're a regular here, you'll know how much I adore Audi interiors. They're just so well put together. There's a lovely ambient light strip that you can control in many different colours. I think red with a kind of combination of white lower down of the doors works really well. You have an S-tronic 7-speed gearbox here. You can twist that to the side for sports mode, or just kind of leave it do its thing. That's 7-speed paddles here, so you can adjust that and be a bit more engaged in your drive if you like. This is a revised version of the A8. Not much else has changed inside. There's a couple of different options for the seats. I like these little sliders here for the direction of air to increase the intensity of that. Very familiar Audi instrument display here. You can change the views on it as you can in so many different Audis, and I've just reminded myself I haven't even touched that because the dials have just worked well. Same kind of steering wheel that you get in a lot of the models. There's cruise control stock here. And one thing that kind of bugs me is every time you set it, the default is a big huge gap between you and the vehicle in front, and if you like to be either middle or just a bit closer so the car is not hugely sitting back from the car in front and annoying the person behind you, you've got to reset that every single time. EV mode is activated here. You just press that button and you can charge the car on the move, or you can maintain some battery charge for later if you're going to a lower emissions area. Very subtle design across the dashboard, you know, just nice little Quattro badge here, high gloss everything. Bit extra storage here for coins, for tolls, or whatever you might need. And then the armrest is 2 individual supports. So you don't have to bother your passenger, and they have their elbow here. You can still access under here. You can do the usual preconditioning for aircon, for timing the charge if you don't want to be charging at a more expensive time. It shouldn't cost you about 7 or 8 quid to charge this car, going by today's prices as of June 2023. But yeah, like really classy, kind of minimalist, nicely put together, not screaming at you, very tasteful interior. Just another gentle reminder that we are a fully independent YouTube channel here on Nobby on Cars, and if you'd like to support us in any way, you can take out a membership here on YouTube. You can hit up the link buymeacoffee.com/Nobby on Cars. You can tip us on PayPal. It all helps support what is totally independent YouTube channel. 462 brake horsepower, 3-litre petrol. Let's bring it for a bit of a spin. Extremely quiet, very refined, very well behaved. You can hear a pin drop, really smooth, brilliant air suspension. Even in sports and dynamic mode, it's still okay, but you can tweak the different settings and raise the suspension, lower the suspension, whatever is your preferable taste. But then you can whack it across into S mode or manually manipulate the gears yourself, and it's kind of like a different car. So you put it into dynamic mode, petrol engine is engaged at all times. It holds on to the revs for you. Suddenly this big huge bus is lurching forward and holding onto the gears and gripping like mad, but you do feel the weight of it. Don't get me wrong. So it's not really a car that you're going to be absolutely tearing into corners with. Very much a straight line car in the best possible performance way. You know, when you're pushing on, yeah, you do feel the weight of it. I mean, it's a large thing. It's well over 2 ton, and it's just like, it's physically long. It's just a big ass car. Like, here's one of the tightest corners. That'd be a bus. So there we go. Let him out. I think I got a thumbs up. Right, we'll try that again. Oh, here's another car. Turning circle, turning circle. Would a Mercedes driver just let you have the turn, you know, before they come up the hill? Would that be too much to ask? So yeah, there you go, demonstrated. It is quite a big car. Great to have all-around cameras and rear traffic monitoring and all those safety aids, blind spot, pre-collision avoidance. I also like, and it's not exclusive to the A8, but Volkswagen Group have this software in the car that it kind of reads from the maps where you are. It'll ease off the brake. Well, it'll tell you to ease off the accelerator, and it'll brake before you come up to a roundabout. It kind of judges junctions in advance. It's a nice little bit of autonomous driving. It's not too intrusive. The only time it can be a little bit too intrusive is if you have the speed sign recognition on, which will adjust the speed if you're on a motorway, for example. And it's good, but sometimes it either misreads a sign or just really aggressively brakes the car. It's like, whoa, what are you doing? And then you got to take over or hit the brake and it's disengaged. As I mentioned earlier on the video, 8 litres per 100 kilometers is not unachievable. If you're all out of battery, you might see that climb to 10, 11. But for the overall performance of the car, I think that fuel economy is pretty good. Brakes are also pretty strong, nice bite in them. They do perhaps still suffer from that little bit at the start of using regen to the actual discs on the car to stop. It's quite a nice sound. It's very rare. I'm in a car these days that has a V6 under the bonnet. Everything's gone to, 2 litres at most if it's a petrol. And with turbos and everything has been extracted out of it to achieve some performance, but something nice about that V6 growl that you get in the Audi A8. I'll just open it up here now to give you that sounds lovely. And even when you ease off the accelerator, it does this little kind of kick back at you. So very much, straight line performance, amazing. If you were cruising an autobahn in this car, this would be absolutely perfect for it. But it's not the worst on country roads either. But just compared to some of the other cars that Audi have, take for example the RS3, similar, actually a little bit cheaper, totally different car, but much more fun in Benz. But if luxury and just cruising and comfort is what you're after, Audi kind of have them have their price in a good spot here, because You know, I had the i7 on the channel. It's a lot more expensive. S-Class, a lot more expensive. Just the new 7 Series is a lot more expensive. So when you get the plug-in hybrid version of it, because the emissions are quite a bit lower, it's a little bit of a, I don't want to say bargain, it's still a 6-figure car, but compared to some of the competition, it's pretty good value actually. Would I consider the Audi A8 over the Mercedes S-Class? Well, price is an interesting one. The plug-in hybrid version of the S-Class will do pretty much double the range of this, but it has got a much bigger battery and it weighs a bit more. And does it have the same driving dynamics? Not quite sure. There's something about a Quattro S-Line Audi that just has a great driver sense of engagement, and this thing is so comfortable with the air suspension that it kind of has the best of everything. Not cheap. This particular model is about 122,000 euro, but at this level, for the people that can afford these kind of cars, it's not exactly big money. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for the comments if you have them. Anything you like about this car or dislike about the car, feel free to leave it in the comments below. And maybe you're owning a slightly older version of this. Ever since the movie Ronin, I know that was an S8, there's just something about the A8 that kind of captures us all, I think, as petrol heads. It's still a pretty cool car, and even a plug-in hybrid version of it is pretty enjoyable to drive. So would I stick it in the garage if money was no object? I think so. I think so. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.